Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about college and just giving you guys some advice. So May 1st is National Decision Day, at least in the United States, and that's the time when high school seniors make their final decision as to what college they're going to attend and pay their student fees and just put down the deposit to ensure their position that they will be attending that school in the fall. So first things first, I'm going to start with the summer before you actually start school in the fall. If your college or university, wherever you decide to go, has a transition program, I say go for it. Number one, look into a transition program. Okay, so the first school that I attended right out of high school, they had a transition program. It was for minorities, but I think anybody could apply. I didn't know about it until one of my counselors had a son who went to the same school I was going to, and she was just like, hey, you know, look into this program, you should try it out. And I did, and it was 5 weeks before school started. During the summer, you got to live in the dorms. You actually took college classes that counted for college credits, so it gave you like a really nice introduction into what it's gonna be like in a transition into college. Okay, so if you're moving on campus and you're assigned a roommate and you don't know them, I would say is Facebook still? Okay, so I'm 23. I started college 5 years ago. I'm super senior. That's another story. But my freshman year, when I moved on campus, I knew one of the girls because I did the transition program that I was telling you guys about, and she was one of the students who was in the transition program. So we weren't like friends, but I knew her, so I was, you know, comfortable. And it was 3 other girls. The kind of dorm I had was a suite style, so we each had our own room, so it was 4 rooms, and then we had a common area for living, and then we had a common bathroom. So it wasn't like I had to necessarily share my room with anyone, which was kind of nice. But we all Facebooked each other before we started school, and we're like, hey, because we had a common area for the bathroom, so it's not like, hey, do you guys want to decorate? Like, what do you guys want to do? Who should get what? It all seemed really friendly and really nice, and I thought we were all gonna get along. Fast forward to literally, we hadn't been living together for a week because we moved in, I believe, on Saturday. That Thursday, 3 of my roommates got into it with each other. So then one of our roommates got removed from our room, and we had a new girl come in. That new girl happened to be one of my best friends. We're best friends now even. So it's just, you know, try to get along, try to communicate before you actually move in. So one, if you have a shared dorm room where it's actually like 2 beds and 2 people in a room, someone can say, hey, I'll bring a mini fridge and I'll bring a microwave, so you don't have 2 of everything, you know? Unless you just don't feel comfortable with that and you want to have all your own things, you know, let that be known. Don't be afraid to tell someone, hey, listen, I'm really protective of my stuff, so if you don't mind, just please ask me if you want to borrow anything, because you don't want it not to be said, and then it's halfway through the semester and you really secretly don't like this girl, you know, or boy, or whoever you're living with. So yeah, I would just say communication is key when it comes to roommates. So try to get their information, whether their social media information. They do, at least for when I went to school, when it had your assignment for as far as your living assignment where you're gonna live, it also had their email and their full name. So that's how we were able to look each other up with our full names on Facebook. Or you can email them. Your roommate probably won't be using their school email yet since it's during the summer, so I would just say look up their full name on Facebook, and then from there see if they have any other social media, and you can kind of, you know, get a feel for them, scope them out a little bit, you know? Unless you live really far away, as in your school is, I'm gonna say 3+ hours away from where you live, pack light. There's no need to have your winter and fall, spring wardrobe all at one time, unless of course you live far away. In that case, I would say maybe look into a storage unit, because most dorm rooms that I've seen, unless, I don't know, your school has really big dorm rooms or you decided to get an apartment off campus for your first year, the rooms really aren't that big, and you might even have to share with someone. So having all of that stuff in one small space really, even if your room is not messy, it's just gonna look junky and messy, you know? So again, I would say, you know, if you're going for the fall, bring up your summer wardrobe, I guess depending on where you go to school and the weather. So just bring what's appropriate for the first like 3 months, and then whenever you go home for Thanksgiving break, then you can get the rest of your winter clothes and like heavier jackets and stuff like that, so your room is not crowded and you don't have stuff everywhere, because trust me, there's not a lot of storage. Okay, now so it's the first day of classes, the semester has started, and you go into your classroom. One of the things that I would suggest you do is introduce yourself to your professor. But it'll be nice if you had one, so they know like, oh, you read through the syllabus and stuff like that. So just introduce yourself, and don't let that be the only time that you see your professor. Make sure you go to their office hours if you have any issues. Like, that's what they're there for, you know? So make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, and in conjunction with the syllabus, make sure you read the syllabus.
Make sure you read the syllabus.
Okay, so certain professors are strict and some have like more casual, loose teaching styles. So like I had a professor who, even the way that we addressed her in emails, she wouldn't respond if you didn't go by how she said so in the syllabus. So you would have to have the title of what you were emailing her about and how to address her and so on and so forth. So if you wouldn't have read the syllabus, you wouldn't have known, hey, why isn't she responding to me? And you would have gone maybe a week for an assignment that you really needed an answer for, and she wouldn't respond because it's in the syllabus. So yeah, that's another thing. No one's gonna look after you and baby you when you're in college. So it's all about taking responsibility for yourself. All right, so now, you know, you started classes, you've moved in, you want to get social, you want to join clubs, you want to meet people, you know? This is where you're going to spend 4 years of your life, possibly, if you don't transfer or just decide it's not for you. So clubs and organizations, I would say join 2 to 3. Don't go overboard with it and join everything just because, oh, like, oh, that looks interesting, because number one, academics is going to be more important at the end of the day. And if you're going to join a club, I would say at least one of them be pertaining to your major. Let's say you're a communications major. I would say, you know, join the school paper, or see if your school has a talk show of some sort that you can contribute to, because that way you're still getting to do what you like, you're interested in, and it's also appealing to your major, so when you put it on your resume, it looks good, you know? It's cohesive, like it all flows together. But also if you're interested in like knitting, you know, join the knitting club. Why not? At least one of them be something for you to relax, because school does get stressful. So you're gonna want an outlet, and why not let a club that you're actually interested in be an outlet for you? Is it hard to juggle school and academic life? If you do it right, no. So that means, I don't know if you guys have seen this little chart. It's like a triangle, and it's like school / academic, sleep, or social life. And it's like pick 2 because you won't be able to do all 3. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. It's just prioritize. So if you know, obviously academics is number 1, because that's why you're there. You're there to get a degree, get an education, and gain some experience so you can go out into the world and, you know, start a career and build your empire and your legacy. So I would say, of course, academics is number 1. I would get a planner is what I would say. I know it sounds so simple, and don't just get a planner and not write in it, you know? Actually put all your assignments in. A lot of people put stuff in their phones nowadays, so it's easier for them to actually keep track of it. So if that's what works for you, go in your calendar and put in all your assignments. And the thing is that I've learned that I made the mistake of, and I recently just learned how to properly do this, is I would just, okay, so let's say I had a test on the 20th. I would just go on my planner and say, exam 2 on the 20th. And after that, that would be it. I mean, I would look in it, but what I found was better was, it's called reverse planning, where you actually put the date that the assignment or the test is coming up on, but then before that you say, okay, I'm gonna start studying 3 weeks in advance, so it's not so overloaded and I don't have to do all-nighters. So then, like, let's say 3 weeks before, you would say do chapters or study chapters 1 through 2, and then on 2 days later you would say 3 to 4, and then on the 5th day you would review all of it, so like 1 through 4. you know, so it's like a lot easier for you to digest. And so it's easier for you to learn the material and remember it, and you don't have to sit there and cram and do all-nighters. I had to learn the hard way. I did a lot of those. High school friends, right? So from my experience, I didn't really have that many like friends in high school. It takes a lot for me to call you a friend. Like I had a lot of acquaintances. I was cool with everyone. Like I never got in an argument. I mean, yeah, I had a few arguments, but I never got in any fights or anything. But I had like my group of friends, and after college there's like one friend that we're still like tight to this day no matter what, and we're gonna be tight forever. So don't go in it, like don't be too hard on yourself if you don't keep in contact with your high school friends, because sometimes people grow apart, and it's not even that you guys got into a fight or an argument or something, but sometimes you're just so busy that you guys naturally just drift apart. And when you come home, you know, you guys can always hang out, let them know, hey, I'm home, whatever, and you can hang out that way. But don't be too hard on yourself or try to put so much pressure on yourself to keep those high school relationships together, because sometimes it just doesn't happen. I mean, if it works out for you, that's great. I'm not saying like go to college and cut off all your friends. No, don't do that. But if someone gets upset with you, or if you're, you know, gaining friends, you have to build a life for yourself where you're at also. So don't forget about that. Also, take advantage of opportunities. Make sure you take every opportunity that you can. Even if you think, if you qualify for it, why not go for it, you know? So whether that be a position for a program, or if you want to study abroad, just do that. If you want to get a job that's like, or an internship, do it. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? You hear no. Like, okay, then you go do something else. So don't look back on your collegiate career and say, wow, I should have done that, or I wish I could have did this. Of course, go to class, go to class, go to class. In high school, it's, for most people at least, it's mandatory for them to be like physically there. But in college, I guess depending on the school that you go to, at least for me, I had to really, it was like a transition, because my high school was really small. Like my graduating class of seniors was probably 130 people, and my freshman year I went in a class with 300 people in an auditorium style classroom. So it's like, okay, how is she gonna know that I'm not here, right? But it really helps to actually go in class. So if she's going, or if the professor is going over something and you don't quite understand it, you can go after class and say, hey professor, would you mind explaining this to me? Whereas if you were like, oh, okay, there's 300 people, they're never gonna know if I'm not there, and you end up skipping class, and then the final comes, and you're like, what is this? But I mean, there are people who have managed to do well without going to class, because the professor puts the PowerPoints online. So they just get the notes online and study themselves. But some professors, to make sure that you're in a classroom, if they have a really large class, is they don't put the notes online. They don't put anything online that could like help you unless you're in the class. And also with large classes like that, they sometimes give extra credit because they know everyone's not going to show up. So professors like to reward students who are actually in class. Alright, well, I hope you guys are excited about school. It's really great. Like I said, make sure you focus on school. Take care of yourself also. A lot of people, I kind of feel like they skip over that. Not really being coddled, but like people say, where's your homework? Like, hey, are you okay? You have to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. To now you're living on your own. You're away from home. Everything is basically your responsibility. So I know it's kind of hard for people. And it can bring a lot of stress. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. I know at least at both of the schools that I've been to have a counseling center. So if you're ever feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, there's someone to talk to. If you don't want to talk to your friends, or maybe you really haven't developed a group that you're comfortable with yet, there's always a counselor there and someone to listen. So just make sure you take care of yourself as well. So yeah, just have fun. Focus on school. Grades are important. Yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer anything, maybe make another video about it. Okay guys, so don't forget to thumbs up this video and comment any questions that you have, or any video topics that you would like for me to do related to college, and I'll do them for you. Alright guys.